What is up everyone, I'm Chewy and today I'm going to be showing you how I made my stone fireplace for my Monkey Island Scum bar build. So basically using the USO mod, you want to go into decorations, nature and scroll across to rocks. Now there's not a lot to it, it's more basically just having enough rocks to make it look realistic. So just what I do is I use the place anywhere mod and I place out a bunch of rocks. Now I use these big square long ones basically for the outside of the backing of the fireplace itself. Now there won't be much commentary on this because it's all sort of pretty self-explanatory. One thing I will say though is due to the shape of the rocks and stuff, it can be very tedious to try and get it so that the rocks don't poke through the wall. So if you want to sort of recreate this, perhaps try and do it where you're able to have a false wall sort of just behind, just to cover up any of the bits of rocks that sort of poke through. But as I said, there won't be too much commentary. At the very least, all you really need to do is get yourself a decent sort of a shape, that sort of thing. Now I do go through and remove a few of the rocks that do poke through the back, but I also put down a metal curved floor to act as the base of it. So I will let you guys just watch the remainder of the video and I will be back shortly. As you can see here, what I've done is I've laid out those sort of square long stones to sort of act as a backing of the fireplace. And now all I'm doing is layering in the rocks in order to bring it up and around and make it look sort of realistic. So here's where I actually place in the curved floor, which is under the concrete floors tab. Just to give it something on the bottom and make it look like that the actual campfire isn't just sitting on the ground, on the timber floors there. It can be a little tedious to get this into place and make it look good, but you can hide a lot of it with the stones. So keep watching and I just place in the other one. Now, coming up is the way that I sort of layer the rocks to sort of give it that look of just keeping the small opening at the front for the actual fireplace, but making it sort of look like it's just layered rocks just stacked on top of each other. As I said earlier, it can be a little bit tedious to get them lined up right. There's a few different types of rocks in the menu there, and sometimes you just need to sort of pick and choose which ones you use. And using the place anywhere tool, it allows you to sort of glitch them in and squeeze them between, and you can generally make it look as though there's no gaps and that sort of each rock is sort of fitted to the one below it. Now you'll see here when I sort of place this rock out, I lose my place anywhere tool on the other side of the wall, but you'll also see that there is one rock that's poked out, and those little sort of square ones have also popped out the side. That's why I sort of said try and do it where you can sort of have a false wall, or perhaps even do this when you're building on a concrete wall. So what I do need to do is I do need to actually scrap a lot of this. So what I'll do is I'll skip all this and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I've basically rebuilt what I just did, but as you see there, there's still a rock that pokes through. Now, what I was actually able to do with this room here was remove some of the shack foundations and bring the wall in sort of half a foundation closer. For this build, you're not going to really be able to see that side of the building because it is out over the water. So in order to just make it easier and sort of add a bit of a false wall in there, which I put the other walls in back later, I'm able to bring the floor in a bit closer, and that helps with sort of any of the rocks that do poke through a little bit, because it can be very hard. And because I'm building this right on a corner, I've sort of got two walls that I need to sort of hide the rocks. But I do also try to use the smaller ones, or the rocks that I can, and sort of put the flat side against the wall the best I can. I mean, obviously you're going to have some rock poking through, but for this build in particular, it was a little bit more. It was a little bit more of a need to not have it poking through. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to sort of layer the rocks over the top to sort of give the effect of an opening of the fireplace. Now, this can be a little bit tedious, but as you sort of start to go up towards, say, the roof, you'd need less and less rocks, and you don't actually have to fill the whole lot up, as long as you've got sort of, so you can't see any gaps through the front. The aesthetic look of it, sort of, it's not a big issue if you just sort of layer it straight up. Now you'll see once I sort of go around this side, you'll actually see what I was talking about, the rocks poking out the wall. But I do hide those with another wall. But as I also said, you're not going to really see that side of the building. And if I do build any more, and you can see them, I will figure out a way to sort of hide them. But for this build in particular, it wasn't a big issue. And now that the actual outside of the fireplace, the main structure of the fireplace is complete, I can go ahead and put in a campfire. So just use the whatever one you want to use. I like this one because I sort of think it sort of suits the build with the stones in it itself, and just sort of squeeze it in there so that it looks like it's actually supposed to be there. Now I do actually have to remove a rock that sort of pokes out, but it's one of those things where this was a first attempt. This was just sort of something that, for the challenge that I had, that I wanted to try and get it as looking as close to and as realistic as possible. Now, all I'm doing here is I'm going to try and put, say, a shelf, a mantelpiece on top. So with the USO mod, we get these timber curved floors. So all I do is I just try to sort of glitch them in so there's a bit of a shelf sort of halfway up, just above the opening of the fireplace. Again, it can be a little bit tedious, a little bit tricky to get them into place, but at the end of the day, it sort of comes out looking the way that I was sort of hoping it would. Now, up next is just a quick little shot of the completed product. I hope you all enjoy it.